Corey Getman.
And Spencer White.
On Let Go Radio. We are on episode 7 now. And so that's been almost 2 months. A month and 3 weeks that
It's
we've
really
been doing the show.
exciting.
It's awesome. I'm glad we made it this far. And I'm glad for anyone out there who's listening. If you've listened consistently, if you've made it this far, or just starting, thankful and appreciative for all of you.
Yeah, man. I think that this show really brings value to people. And, you know, I don't say that from like an ego point of view. I say it because I listen back to these and I go, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Yeah. I'm like, wow, this just made my day so much better. So yeah, I'm excited. Episode 7, things are really just getting started. We're taking, you know how a snowball, if you roll it down a hill, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger? Like, that's the point we're at right now. We're at the top of the hill. We have this little cute little snowball, and we're just starting to kind of like nudge it along. Exactly.
That was great. That was completely unplanned, by the way. So anyway, what I wanted to get into today is, in the last episode, I talked about a little dilemma I'd been going through, and I'd been feeling down and a little depressed and everything. What I came to realize was behind that went along with that, was this incredible judgment of myself and trying to cling to a state of happiness. Like, we did a whole episode on attachment and such, and releasing those and realizing them, coming to awareness of them. I realized that mine was an attachment to happiness. I was trying to hold on to this state I'd reached. And what I want to point out is that when you try and cling, when you set these standards for yourself, you see an ideal of the way that you want to be. Maybe it's the way that you were before, or maybe it's set by an outside source. Maybe you see someone you want to be just like. And if it's from a point of view that you judge yourself anytime you're not like that, then you're going to start thinking of yourself as so imperfect, and you're going to get down on yourself, and it's going to lead to that lack of motivation that I was going through. And what I want to really get to here is that literally everything you could do and experience in life is perfect as it is happening, because it couldn't be happening any other way. And I want to distinguish that as accepting what is. Accepting what is doesn't mean it's the way it always has to be. You are absolutely perfect as you are. Can't change that. There's no wrong way to be human. Like, I was telling you this earlier. Like, you'll hear I've heard a comedian say, like, oh, you say bad dog or bad cat. But they're not bad at being a dog or a cat. Well, if you really look into that, we're not saying that they're bad at being an animal. We're saying that they don't fit our ideal, our standard of how they should be behaving right now. So when you get to this state that you see yourself as so imperfect or so bad, you see your value as anything less than absolutely perfect, or anyone else's value is less, then you're holding someone or yourself to these standards, to this ideal image of a human being you have in your head. Where did that come from? Where do you think this comes from? This standard, this ideal, like, maybe it's that we see something we want and we say, well, that person has it and they're just like this. Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from a series of things. Here in America, we're in a very different situation than most countries. And a lot of countries are catching up nowadays. And even when I was in Sri Lanka and Thailand, I did see the younger crowd actually beginning to dress like Americans dress, which is very interesting to see, because these kids, for the most part, have no contact with a lot of people from America because it's on the other side of the world. So you get a lot of Europeans, but the Europeans are being changed by our way of life too. And America is kind of leading the way in a lot of great things and a lot of things that are not, extremely helpful for us.
So you're saying that as they see us, they see that we're living these great American lives, in quotes.
Right.
So they're going for any kind of imitation that they can do of us.
Kind of, yeah. And because they think that somehow we have better things because we're a different kind of people.
Right.
But we're really not. And what I realized when I was over there is that those people are so much more free. Other than the fact that they wish they had what we had, those people in their relationships, their time that they spend together, their meals that they actually sit down and enjoy, they're not forking out a Subway sandwich to go do their next to-do list option. They don't have that. They're just kind of relaxing. The mood is kind of like, when you have your Sunday off and you have nothing planned, and you're like, I'm going to go to the beach today, and I'm just going to hang out, and you're just happy, and everyone's happy.
There's no time pressure. There's no tension.
You kind of forget about time.
Right.
The sun comes up, and you're like, it's a beach day. And out there, sure, they do function off a little bit of time, and depending if you're in Bangkok, Thailand, yeah, it's like Los Angeles. It is much different, cleanliness, all that stuff. The smells, I was not a huge fan. A lot of fishy smells down there. But anyway, we're getting away from the point. That's kind of my experience. And just one last thing. This whole image thing, I think part of it's been forged by Hollywood. And this perfect print photo, photoshopped woman on the cover of a magazine, I think contributes to this idea.
Well, see, it's more than Hollywood. It's anything outside of ourselves that is forcing us to be a certain way.
Oh, totally, yeah.
It's our parents, it's the church,
Right.
it's society, it's our friends. They say you have to act a certain way in order to get to this thing, and then when you catch yourself not acting in that certain way, you get stuck on it, and you're like, oh, why did I just do that? Why didn't I act in that certain way? And then you look back on it and you judge yourself instead of being completely and totally openly loving of yourself and just saying, well, that was the best I knew to do, or
Right.
why even dwell on a thing? Just embrace life as it comes, really.
I got something to add to that
Go ahead.
too. That's powerful. I think a lot of this also stems in public school because we are trained, for lack of better words, from a very young age for about 12 years. That 12 years, majority of the day, you're actually away from your family, away from your parents, and you're being parented, if you will, by kind of our government system or your state system, if you will. But that parenting involves grades. Grades are a standard that we are being held to by somebody else, and that they say, and they're judging us and saying, you didn't get an A. You're not as valuable as the person over there who got an A. And so we start to disvalue or, disengage with some of these things, and we start to hold ourselves and feel that way about ourselves, when in reality, in other countries, like I noticed, they don't coddle the kids, but they help them understand the process of self-development and understanding.
Right, so you're saying that we see a measured form of rating our progress in a thing, and we
Right.
apply it to ourselves. And you're handed a paper with an A, and you're up. Your ego, your mood,
Right.
you feel up. You're handed a paper with, say, a C after a stream of A's,
Right.
and then you suddenly feel down. Like, what happened here? Why did I get this? Why didn't this go the way that I wanted it to? You're handed an F. You're practically depressed.
Right.
I know when I was growing up, in my personal experience, grades were a huge deal to me because, and this was never her intention, but my mom would put it on me that she would praise me for my good grades and my smarts. She'd tell all her friends how smart I was, and she'd even say to me, oh, you're probably getting smarter than I am now. I was in 8th grade, taking biology. And it got to the point where it didn't become about me being smart. It got to be about the grades themselves. So I'd cheat. I'd do whatever I could just to get a better grade, to show her, to get that approval.
Right.
And that's what the grade system is. It's an approval system. And then you apply it to the friends you have. How can I get their approval? How can I get someone else's approval?
And that person isn't the complete package for me. You know what I mean? And
Right.
And yeah, there is some truth as to you need to find a partner that kind of hits a lot of the
You're
check
talking about
marks.
relationships?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what we were talking about, how we hold people to a different standard, or even ourselves. And I think because we're taught what an A means, we're taught what an F means. If we just saw those on a piece of paper and they returned it to us and didn't say anything, we wouldn't care. We'd be like, "Thanks for giving me my paper back." And that's real life right there.
That's
It's just-
true reality,
Yeah.
and then we assign these meanings and values to it. It's great that you mentioned school. What I wanted to mention was the conditioning that we're all put into to make us this way. Our programming that, if you're not aware, you may as well be a robot. Like,
Right.
That's the difference between humans and robots. Humans can become aware of their conditioning, but it literally starts very soon after birth.
Right.
A baby cries, they get their bottle. So you become accustomed. You see a pattern there. Even in the mind of a baby that isn't even taught language yet. They cry, they get their bottle. As they get a little older, they cry, and the parent has also become conditioned to silencing the child by giving it what it wants. So the baby cries, it gets its toy. Maybe it doesn't get its toy, but it's gotten so used to getting what it wants from causing a scene, from crying, that if it's not to get its toy, the child cries more. And unless you break your kid out of that, they will grow up to think that, okay, and it's not even a conscious thing, it's subconsciously, if I cause myself negative emotions, my external world will cater to that. They will try to make my bad feelings go away. So we actually subconsciously give ourselves bad feelings. Like, say you're in a relationship and you don't like something your partner's doing, so then, you get pouty about it, or where do you think pouting comes from? That comes from that response to a child pouting. Just anything like that. You think you cause a scene, you get angry, rather than being rational and understanding with a person, Because we're not taught that as children. We're not taught. There's no way to teach someone that doesn't know language, be rational with me and just ask for food. But you can teach your kids that as they get older.
Oh, yes, you can. And something really powerful that's been on my mind, actually, the last couple days is this idea in the school system that we're actually training our kids not to be creative. And we do that because we have... And it's understandable how it happens, but we have guidelines like... Oh, you have this art project and it's got to be this, this, and this. But the kid is artistic, but he doesn't want to draw that, so he gets an F. And then that makes him feel bad. So he's not conforming himself to the system, and he's basically being shunned, if you will. When in reality, if we engage that child where he's at, then we empower each individual, and that's how we grow a powerful nation, a loving nation. People feel heard and cared for, and we grow up not with egos to guard ourselves and our insecurities.
Which is exactly what the ego is. It's a defense.
It is, yeah.
That's our whole concept of self and identity. It's a defense against being insecure and not knowing. But about that child that would be given an F for not wanting to draw that particular thing, his creativity is, like you said, it isn't being fostered, so that child may then develop... his artistic ability won't be developed, he'll stop drawing completely, or he won't draw for other people to see. He might keep it to himself. And we do that with this grade system. What you just did is not approved by the system.
Right.
So you think,
it's
you just
bad.
apply that globally. Okay, well, they didn't like the art that I did. Clearly no one else will. So I guess I'll be a janitor. Whatever. Another thing that we're conditioned to do from a very young age is to have our mind completely set on the future. To not be happy where we are now,
right,
and to look forward to something else. There's got to be something better, But why? Why is that? And I mentioned this to you earlier, when you talk to a child, one of the very first things you ask is, so what do you want to be when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
And that always confounded me when I was a kid. Maybe sometimes I'd give the answer cop, because my dad was a cop, and I thought that'd be cool. Or I'd give an answer like Spider-Man. I want to be Spider-Man when I grow up. That's what I want to be. But you ask a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or you ask someone in high school, college is coming up soon. Have you decided what you want to do with your life? What you want to be? And that, oh my God, that was upsetting and confusing to me when I was in high school. And I think it is to everyone. But I'd look around and I'd see, oh, this person knows exactly what they want to do. I guess everyone's got it all figured out, and I haven't put enough thought into the future. But we're trained in that way to not think about right now, to think about the present. What's the future got to do with your happiness? We're taught that you have to get to a certain place if you want to experience happiness. That where you are right now, there's something wrong with it. Otherwise, what do you mean? What does that mean? What do I want to be? what's wrong with who I am now? What's wrong with what I am now?
Right, and I think that's where the problem comes in, because I think looking into the future is extremely powerful.
Absolutely.
Extremely.
Absolutely, but not when we're conditioned to it in a way that completely avoids the present.
Yeah, it makes
like when you're at that age where these systems are being ingrained into you, and these, approval systems and everything else. And to imply that you could be something else, that you have to pick now,
right,
is also to say it doesn't foster that creativity that child had shown. It doesn't.
Right.
There are the kids who, you said this earlier, the kind of kid that grew up playing piano. Like, he knows he loves piano. He's gonna be he is a pianist. He likes playing piano, and he's going to continue to play piano. But there are the other kids. They don't think they have anything in particular special about them. So you say, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that is extremely harmful. And because kids already have talents, kids already have areas of interest, and foster those and let them do what the real world does, which is they run a certain amount of time with something. And we've all done this. We join a soccer club or a soccer team and we play soccer for 3 years. And then all of a sudden we're like, yeah, soccer was great, but I don't want to do soccer anymore. And then you move on to something else and you play baseball. And you're like, baseball was great. I don't want to play baseball anymore. And then you find football, and football's your thing. And you're going to be a football player for life. There you go. That's how you find what your interests are, is you pursue them. But when we're completely shutting these out of creative kids because they're not fitting in the box of what the system says they need to fit into, we're really harming them. And the long-term result of this, I think, is kind of funny. So we go through school. We stunt these kids at an early age by having them fit into certain boxes and telling them, no, that's an F, because it's very creative, and hopefully some teachers tell the kids that. It's very good drawing, but it doesn't, apply to what we were doing.
We were working on.
Right. And it's okay, but I'm going to give you a good grade for effort or something like that, right? Or however they want to say that. That's fantastic. And then you get into the higher grades. A lot of these creativities have been snuffed out. Now they're fitting into certain categories and kind of like cliques within the school. And then here's the funniest part about it. A lot of kids go into college. Some kids don't. Some kids do nothing with their lives. But some of those kids that dropped out of college or went to college, whatever, decided they want to do something they're interested in. So what do? They drop all the knowledge they learned in school, and they start out where they would have been at 8 years old. They now start out at 20 or 21 or 22 or 30 or 40 going, hey, I can actually make money and survive off of passionate things.
But keep in mind that while it could have started much younger, if you are at that age, it can't have started at much younger, and it's never too late.
Yeah, all you have is now.
It is literally about that. Never too late. Don't say, oh, I'm going to be all upset because I didn't start this when I was 8.
Right.
If you are out there and you're 22, 25, 30, 45, not to say drop everything and don't take care of your family and, go off and be a trombone player or anything, but just, it's not too late to go for something that you love.
Never, ever, ever. Yes. I mean, another thing about this is, kids would fix the world. If you just released kids to be kids, and parents were the ones nurturing them, not school, not the teachers, not daycare, not anybody else, we've completely split up our families. They're segregated. Parents are basically becoming the people that they're around at work, which has nothing to do with the family. And then the family, let's say the kids are at school, and then mom or dad, or if you're a single parent, right, we already said you're at work, doing one of those things. And you're conditioned by your environment, right? Because when you see something around you, it makes you think about it. And the more often you see things and consume information and take them in, the more you think about those things. So you're going to be very different from your other family members in those respects. And when you come together, things don't quite mesh. I think we have a huge problem in the home today, because people are segregated for over 8 hours a day. And when they come home, do you think they spend a lot of time together? Or do you think they turn on the television? Do you think they turn on the video games? Do you think they have homework to do? We're separated 90% of the time we're awake. And then we expect families to have healthy relationships. It's not going to happen. People need to intentionally spend time together. And it's hard to do if you haven't come from a family like that. I learned this stuff from my girlfriend's family. When I was over at their house, they're so touchy and whatever. It kind of weirded me out at first. My family's not like that. So when I immersed myself within that, it took me a little while to understand and to go, whoa, this is so cool. And they spend so much time together. They go camping together. They do all these things. But they really listen. They really focus on you. They really care about you. Hey, how was your day? Not walking in the door, throwing your briefcase on the floor, trying to unpack your bags. Or, hey, how was your day, everybody?
Good.
Yeah, good. Doing homework now for 4 hours because we're trying to overload these kids' brains with information you never use.
And see, with that kind of situation, that's how you describe your girlfriend's family. They sound very present with each other.
Very.
Actually taking an interest and not just a mechanical, habitual, how's it going? Good. How you doing? Good. Going down to my room now. You know, that's that actual, how are you doing? You know, how was your day? And they look you in the eyes and they're truly interested in listening. They're not asking you with sincere interest because they want you to think they care, you know. They're asking because they actually want to hear what's going on with you right now. And they're not hung up on tension, future worry. Like, you know, I'm spending time with my family right now. I'm doing things with people I love. I don't have to be thinking about what's going to happen at work tomorrow. I don't have to be thinking about, you know, project due at school that's whose quality decides my value as a human being.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. And how much faster do you think kids would develop if they were spending all day around their parents who have already lived life? How much faster do you think they'd develop with parents sitting them guiding, mentoring them along these normal life patterns and ideas and events that happen, rather than sending the kid off to school to hang out with all other kids who he can't learn from generational wisdom, and then they're sitting there listening to a teacher who probably isn't happy, who's separated from their kids while they're teaching at work, and now they're trying to teach you facts.
See, I'm not sure that I agree that homeschooling would be the best alternative for every kid. You know, they've got to get out and see and explore.
You need to socialize. Yeah, but that is living with other people. Because in other countries, this is what I noticed. Mm-hmm. Kids are hanging out with adults. Kids are hanging out with adults.
Like there aren't any identity separations. Like they just see people as people.
It's not like 15, 10-year-olds running around who are all up to no good. It's like, you know, a group of maybe 10-year-olds, and then you got an adult with them, and they're all doing something. It's like, it's nature, man. It's what we were meant to do. We're meant to bring up the next generation, care for them, and actually help them get to the next step. We're literally, unfortunately, abandoning kids, basically, all day long to sit in there by themselves, within their head, sitting in a classroom because they can't talk to their neighbor. For 8 hours a day. Minus the lunches, minus the passing periods. Yes, they get to talk to other kids. But there's no wisdom. They're all talking about the same TV show they all watch or the video game they're playing. There's no real life happening.
Well, I met most of my best friends through high school and some in college.
Right. Would you have met them if you were learning generational wisdom?
I don't think so.
Life?
That's like, is there a different system people that you might suggest? Or like if, you know, say if everyone were homeschooled, I don't know, I guess people might hang out more at community centers, or how would these kids make friends?
Well, because kids naturally want to make friends. The only reason they don't make friends is if the parent teaches them not to go make friends. Kids walk up to anybody. Like, we were slacklining today, right? Mm-hmm. And a kid comes over and he's just hanging off our slackline. He doesn't care. He's doing whatever he wants to do. He's a kid.
And luckily, he walked over to a group of open people that welcomed him right in. And
right.
That was fun.
That's how kids are, man. That's what kids are. They're a pure spirit. They're really meant, and they will connect the world, dude. Everybody cares about children. Everybody. However, they're not being nurtured within our system. So how can we cater to that? What can we do right now? Mm-hmm. It's tough to say. Homeschooling is an option, but I feel like parents just need to become aware. How is that going to happen? I don't know. Other than turning off television, understanding that TV is really created. The artists and everyone are excited about television and movies and all that, but it's really created to make money.
See, I don't agree with the homeschooling thing because the whole idea of like helicopter parents and such, but kids need to grow an independence from their parents. I think that might create a very strong dependence on their parents.
Well, not if the parent is teaching them to live life.
Right, the parents would all have to know how to do everything properly. Like, we'd have to have a lot of very enlightened, awakened, intelligent parents.
That's what I'm saying.
So
it would take that. But
so this would have to... I don't see this being possible in our generation.
Oh, it's possible.
You think so?
Yeah, here's the trippy part. Go to Thailand. Go to Sri Lanka. These people live like this. They're already doing it.
Yeah?
Yeah, we are so behind. These kids are mentored. These kids are brought... You have 12-year-olds walking up to you talking like 30-year-old salesmen. 12-year-olds walking up to you going, "Hi, sir, how's it going today?" Weather's fantastic, I know. Look, can I shine your shoes? Is that okay? It's for free. They shine your shoes real quick? Fantastic. By the way, I'm doing this little promotion thing. I'm trying to sell X amount of candy bars for my whatever. Would you mind buying one? They gave you free value, they shine your shoes, and now they're asking you for value in return. You think you're going to return or not? Yes. You know 30-year-old freaking salesmen in America can't do that? There's a lot of them who can't do that.
Yeah.
And you got 12-year-olds in these other countries showing you up. We were having conversations with kids where I'm sitting there going, dude, there's no way they actually understand what I'm saying. But they carry on the conversation just like you're talking to an adult. And it's almost embarrassing to come back to America and see 12-year-olds. Honestly, we're raising a generation of wimps. And it's not their fault. It's the system and the parents.
It's not even the parents' fault. It's because the parents are acting according to their own conditioning.
Through school and their parents. And
it's not even their parents' fault or their parents' fault or even really the school's fault. Because the school was already in place. It's doing the best they can. The teachers that are working a lot of them do care about kids, but they're just conditioned to what they know.
Well, the school's not doing the best they can. I think the people are doing the best they can within the school system.
Right.
If the school was doing the best they could, they would add one class. Just one. Mm-hmm. Wealth 101. How to deal with your money. Wait a second.
You think so?
What's the thing we all need? Food, water, shelter,
finance.
Oxygen, and what's the last one? Money. Those are the only things we need to survive nowadays. Food, water, shelter, oxygen, and money.
You think so?
Yeah. You need that if you want to live in America and you want to live like... I'm sure you don't want to be a beach bum on Santa Monica Boulevard, right?
No.
Okay, so you need money.
Well, you need money for the other things, except oxygen.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying. You need money, unfortunately, today. So, how do you get money? I don't know, we're all taught to go work jobs. So what if there was a Wealth 101 class on even managing money? There's finance, yeah, in specific high schools. We don't have anything like that here in California. I don't know in any schools.
I think it was mandatory in my school.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Huh, I took a business class.
We have home ec, which is...
Not the same.
Not the same. And they do one thing. They show you how to balance a checkbook.
Really?
Has nothing to do with personal finance and managing money.
Do people still pay with checks?
That's what they taught us. It was a joke. But anyway, I don't know. I feel like, kids, if they were released today, their minds would solve all of our problems. Because they don't see barriers.
Right.
They go, well, why don't we just all be friends? Why are we attacking each other over this? Why can't we just be friends? And we're going like, no, there's reasons. And they're like,
right.
Well, what are I don't understand. What are the reasons?
I could see that, like, younger kids, like, their parents have to teach them, no, stay away from that kid. We were having fun.
Right.
Like, I could just imagine that being a race thing or any kind of thing,
Yeah.
Like, we don't associate with those kind of people. But, okay. And then the kid is eventually taught and acculturated, and then he'll stop his kids from associating with. But yeah, from that point of view of a child that just sees everyone as, like, he doesn't differentiate. It's not. He wouldn't care if that kid was ugly, attractive, rich, just a fun person to be around. He has things on his mind and valuable things to say, and a lot of fun to have.
So we teach them these things. So guys, we don't. When I'm saying all this stuff, I don't know the answer to any of this. These are just problems that are on the horizon, and they're being solved in other places. So maybe collectively, listeners out there, if you think of some ways and you see this problem in your life, maybe you can do something about it. But first, we just got to become aware of it. And I think it's a powerful thing. Kids really are They're the next generation. They determine sales. That's why McDonald's sells to kids. You don't see McDonald's trying to sell to old people. They don't do it. They sell to kids. Ronald McDonald, right? The main focus is children, because kids actually determine buying habits for a lot of their parents. Mom, Dad, I want this new thing. Right? 24/7, all day long, kids are always asking their parents for this brand new thing.
Right. In the cereal aisle, they put the boxes that appeal to kids right at their eye level, that kind of thing. I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then the parents, like we mentioned earlier, wanting to, like, the kid will cry when it sees what it wants, and it knows what it wants, and the parent knowing that to get the kid quiet, you give it what it wants, starting with the bottle.
Right.
Will now buy the kid cereal or toys or whatever it wants, and it's amazing that we become so conditioned to that. To go full circle there.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, what are some solutions, Corey? Do you see any solutions for that kind of stuff for parents and the kids crying? And, like,
start with the individual. Start with the parent. They need their own awareness. They need to become aware of of all of their programming. They need to find their own way to happiness. Find their way to this place of satisfaction in their life. To not teach the kid to make these judgments on themselves. To teach their kids not to depend on the approval of other people, even of themselves. To teach their kids not to need their parents, their friends, to need anyone outside themselves for happiness. And then the kid will feel so much like it is free to enjoy life. It is free, I say it as the kid, but it is free to be its artistic self. It's free to play pretend. It's free to play games with his friends and not say, no, I've got to study. I can't play games now.
Right.
At what point did we stop playing games?
Isn't that the goal after you make a bunch of money, is to be able to go back to playing games?
Well, like,
having fun,
right?
What you want to do. So
absolutely, but at what? I don't even recall. Like, at what age? At what point? You're outside playing an imaginary game with your friends,
right?
And as I recall in my mind, I could totally see these things happening, and I know they couldn't have been because it was about things like Pokemon or some video game we played. We just went and acted out outside. At what age did we stop doing that? Did other things become so much more important? It's crazy. Anyway, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. And
real quick before we do,
go ahead.
Couple resources. Some of you may have been asking, okay, I understand you're saying I need to become self-aware. How do I do that? Honestly, books. That's something a lot of our generation has stopped doing, is reading books. And if you don't have time to read books, I understand. You're busy, you're running around, you have kids, stuff's going on. Audiobooks, because it's nice. You can hop in your car. If you turn off your music, and I don't remember the amount of time, but let's say a couple months, you will have the equivalent of basically a PhD in that subject if you listen to it on audio while you're driving.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
It is absolutely amazing, and you can become extremely educated in anything you want to, and there's audiobooks that cover all this stuff.
As far as awareness, if that's what we're talking here, I recommend the Awakening series from Anthony DeMello. I recommend anything by Don Miguel Ruiz. Eckhart Tolle is fantastic.
Yes. Also, Earl Nightingale, if you go to YouTube and you type in The Strangest Secret, you'll find some really neat stuff there. And then Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich actually has some very powerful spiritual stuff in it.
Extremely.
It's surprising.
Well,
like, I was going back and flipping through it, and it totally wasn't. It was barely about money. It was about freeing yourself from all these things we're talking about.
Yeah. It's a powerful... Bob Proctor, also very big guy in the industry of, not motivational speaking, but really self-development, teaching people to get to the next level. I have a book of his called You Were Born Rich. Almost has nothing to do with money again. And he has been reading Think and Grow Rich for over 30, maybe it's 50 years now. I don't remember which one it is. 30 or 50 years. The same book. He reads other books, but he literally has the same book. Like, the covers are falling off. It's duct taped. He showed it to us at his convention. And the thing is so marked up you can barely read it, but he reads it over and over and over again. And the guy is now almost a billionaire.
See, that's the way I feel about the Anthony DeMello stuff. Like, I've listened to that audio probably 6 times through, and it's a very long audio. Anyway, that's one of the surprising things you'll find about people that are successful in what they do. People that grow rich. And these books aren't about money, because it's not even really about what's the best way to go out and make money. They actually talk about things like pursuing your passion, figuring out what you're passionate about, what you might actually want to do with your life.
Because money's a tool. And if all you need to do to use a tool is become aware of yourself and your interaction with the tool. But it becomes first about your self-awareness and then using the tool of money instead of being used by money.
Use money, don't be used by money. Use your mind, don't be used by your mind.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind
Tools.
for everything. Don't be used by anything. Let go radio. Complete freedom.
Love it.
All right.
See you guys next
guys.
episode. Next episode. Next episode. Next episode. Next episode.